Hello everyone, welcome to our live stream. If you don't know me, which presumably you all do, but I'm Scott Harrison, and we have the wonderful and sassy best friend of mine. He doesn't like being called that when I introduce him, but it's Aaron Newland-Bentley.
Bonsoir.
So this is kind of something that's began to happen now because we we get requests to do this quite a lot. So there's a reason why I'm wearing this shirt tonight, and it's because it was the shirt I wore when we did our first ever one of these. It was like this time last year when we were in Barcelona, working with the wonderful Mary Saunders Barton and Jeannie Levetri. And and we just went on to just have a little chat about that, just to just feedback to home. And if you want to get involved in the chat, you have to watch this video either on probably the best way is on Facebook, but you can also get in touch with us via Twitch as well. Unfortunately, YouTube wasn't working, so we've just abandoned that for just now. We'll get that working next time. But it's really great to see you all. I can see there's people joining, so please say hello in the chat box. You need to get onto the Scott Harrison voice rather than on my profile to chat with us. We're going to be taking your questions as we go. We're also going to be asking you to kind of give us topics to talk about if anybody does want to join in. So please feel free to do that. Aaron, you can keep an eye on when the chat's kind of happening as well. It's coming through now. That's good. I can see it on my screen, so that's good. Hi, Josie.
Yeah. Hi, Josie.
So this is going to be slightly different from the previous ones that we've done before, because normally we've kind of come on with one thing that we really want to talk about, and it's normally kind of a little bit more educational. Would you say, Aaron?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but this one's some of it's going to be educational, but some of it's not. Some of it's just us just having a little gossip. We're just going to warn you right now that sass will ensue, because that's just who we are. And we make no apologies about it. So, anyway, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have almost like a little news section. We just want to talk about what's happening in the world of singing and in the world of theatre, particularly obviously in the UK, but globally as well. And that feels a bit weird to talk about because of the COVID thing and the fact that there isn't really that many theatres open. But anyway, we're going to do it anyway. So, basically, we're going to start with a controversial one because anybody that's watching this knows I love me some controversy. And we're going to talk about this Twitter storm that's been going on. I don't know if anybody's been watching it. About the argument going on about the same people being cast in shows again and again and again, especially during this lockdown period. And some people obviously are defending those really incredibly hardworking performers that are being kind of just taking work whenever they can get it. And some people are really thinking that producers are not using the full scope of the talent pool that we have in the UK at the moment. So we thought we'd just have a little chat about that and put our little thoughts into it. But what do you think, Aaron?
Well, I think there's a couple of things to think about, really. I think, has this come from the lockdown period alone, or is this something that is being talked about more now because of the shortage of work in the industry? And that you just keep seeing the same people being, put forward for things. And then I think it's also about whether there's a lot of, I don't know, it's a bit more informal, isn't it? There's a lot of young people that are producers, I'm not saying producers in a shady way, but, producing things that are obviously using their mates to be in stuff.
Yeah.
But what I personally think about at the moment is that anybody that's creating anything at the moment and putting anything on is amazing. So I don't mind seeing a few people that I've seen before. It would be nice to see some other people, but at this particular moment in time, take what you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite a difficult question actually to kind of really bring up because I don't think anybody really thinks badly about the people that are being cast in these shows,
No, of course not.
because they're all very talented, very highly skilled, really experienced, wonderful artists. But it's part of the wider question, isn't it? That what do we do in an industry like, not anything to do with COVID, where we have producers that don't necessarily always take the chance to give those young performers the opportunity that they really deserve. I think that's really important. Now, hi there, John. So nice to see you.
Is it wrong that I just read John's comment because of the sun that's in my face? I thought he put evening, bitch. I was like, John.
No, well, he knows. Well, because if he had wrote that, then it would definitely have been towards you. Anyway, but yeah, so it's always, I always think this is a really interesting conversation, because it's one that, of course, as you know, I have to have with my younger singers that are wanting to get into the industry, and they go, well, how do I do this? Like, what do I do? Like, do I, like, how do I get a good agent? Do I go and create my own business? Do I do fringe work? Do I take unpaid work? And, I think that basically what COVID has done is just highlighted all of that for those people to really, to quite a big degree, like all of those students, those wonderful performers all over the country that are, and the world, that are graduating drama school right now into a non-existent industry. It must be quite difficult to see. And I suppose that, I also don't blame the producers for keeping their friends on board with things in order to kind of create a sense of security for their own, investment that they probably don't have a huge amount to invest in at the moment. So I can see both sides, but
and it's easier, isn't it? It must be easier to I'm not saying that the people that are being used are people's mates, like, I don't know that, but I'm just saying that even if it is like that, that's not, it must be easier to try and coordinate things.
Absolutely.
Rather than having to try and track down loads of people and try to, because how would you do it otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's very, very difficult. I do completely see where they're going. I'll be very interested to see what happens, in the next kind of 12 to 24 months, because of course lots of these things are just experiments to see what we can do in terms of socially distanced theatre. So it'll be very interesting to kind of like see how it goes on from there. But like I'm quite excited to see what is being produced. I have like lots of friends involved in this, and I wish them every success, and I know it's going to be good. But there's plenty of performances of what's that, just of last 5 years. There seems to be quite a few of them, because it's easy to socially distance. Do I like that brilliant show? No, I really, really dislike the piece, which will come as absolutely no, like nobody will be surprised by that at all. But but we'll see how it goes.
I quite like the last 5 years.
I just don't like the characters. Like, I just feel like both of them are just awful people. And so I don't really... They're just hideous people. And I feel like I just don't want to champion either of them. Like, give me a good hero that I can kind of really get behind, Whereas I'm just kind of like, yeah, neither of you really deserve to be in a relationship, never mind with each other. So, that's what I don't like about it. But don't get me wrong, the music at some point is really wonderful. But yeah,
I like listening to it and watching it, and I like it when you get a piece that allows you to switch between people quite well.
Yeah.
I like that, where 1 minute you're rooting for this person and the next minute you're like, I really don't like you. I like being a bit sort of lost. I like to be guided through. That's why I quite like it. Yeah. For that reason.
Yeah. Like structurally, it's very, very sound. I really love the way that it's told in a very different way with the two different time streams and stuff. I think some of the most wonderful pieces of art have been done like that in loads of different mediums. So Yes, yes. As I said, anybody that knows me will know that that's not something that will surprise them that I don't like last 5 years.
No,
I talk about it quite a lot. Anyway,
absolutely.
yeah, the other thing that we're going to talk about that's big news right now. So like all the singing teachers and musical directors and creatives will have seen that there has been a wonderful study recently published. What was it
Come
called
on
again?
now.
What was it? The Perform? Was that what the initiative was called? Or I can't remember what it's called now. But it was headed up by a whole load of different people. I think it was University of Bristol that was the main movers and shakers with this. But the person that's kind of like close to all of our hearts in the singing world is Mr. Declan Costello, who's a wonderful speech and language pathologist. And he was involved in it, and he's the one that's kind of released it to us as an industry, and it's basically all about what we can do in terms of singing and how safe it is at the moment. And quite naturally, the entire British press lied through their teeth about what was actually in this report. Yeah, it's fine. It'll just people can just sing quietly and it's absolutely fine. That's totally acceptable when people are doing opera or rock music or musical theatre. Like that's just not an acceptable thing for us to really get anything out of in terms of the media. But it's such a shame because then that's kind of almost like people have kind of rubbished the report, but actually the report didn't actually say any of this. It just stated the facts of its findings, which was that there is more chance to or rather there is more aerosols in the air if you sing at a louder or speak at a louder volume than if you speak at a quieter one.
Kelsa praise.
Right, absolutely. But also, it's been very interesting to see how this has been played out in the... Yeah, exactly, sing quietly. Catherine, you know me, that's not going to happen. But, like, it's been very interesting to see how this has been interpreted by singing teachers that perhaps are very good teachers, but that don't necessarily fully embrace the scientific side of singing. So for example, like when people kind of go, well, what about if you're singing and they've kind of talked about if you've got lots of twang in your voice, the kind of more Aristotelian way of speaking, and like well, is that a resonance device? Does that actually increase amplitude? It certainly increases our perception of volume, but I would suggest that actually, like, adding certain resonators is not going to increase aerosols because it doesn't increase the way that the air necessarily engages with the vocal folds. So I think there's lots to be unpacked about this.
That's whether you think that the acoustic effect happens above the folds or not, or just about how far away from the folds it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you think that it happens up there or not.
Yeah.
But the thing that stresses me out about it, right? And can we talk? Because I'm just like, everyone needs to calm down. Like everybody that's like retweeting.
Can I just stop you there? Aaron Newland-Bentley is telling everybody else to calm down. Can you believe it? Sorry, guys. Everybody's got to calm down. Says Aaron Newland-Bentley, the least calm person in the world. But there we go.
Yeah, but I just kind of feel like it just makes me wonder. I was saying this to Craig the other day. I was like, I was going to say, am I going to say something to get me in trouble then? But no, no. Anyway, so we were just talking.
Shout out to Craig Faulkner. Yeah, okay, go on.
Craig Faulkner. But I just kind of feel like all you people that are retweeting this article and posting it on Facebook, because you've got to be the first person to make it look like you've done the research yourself. Can you read it, please, before you repost it? Because it's not what it appears to be, friends. And everyone's like, oh my God, we can sing again now. Like, let's get ready. And it's like, did you read it? Or did you just read the headline?
Yeah.
Because the headline that was going around was singing no more something than speaking.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, great, we can all speak because we know that people were allowed to do plays, or wasn't the government advice that you were allowed to do plays but not sing in a theatre?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I can't keep
unbelievable.
up.
It's a crazy new world, isn't it? And we need to we need to keep being careful. And I think, one of the things that I tell people all the time, and I think this is really important to remember, is
Yeah.
that we don't do brain surgery. Like, like theatre doesn't save lives in the way that some other careers do. I know it's really hard for some people to hear, but, like, we do have an important job, but, like, if people need to stay quiet for a little bit longer to make sure that there's less deaths, then I
Yeah.
think that that's a price worth paying, whether that's a financial price for us as singing teachers and creatives and producers, or indeed like the price as a performer to like actually who are all desperate to get on stage. Um, however, um, I want to raise an idea because I was talking about this the last time we did one of these about how it's really important to think about how we move forward with all of this, right? And about how we can kind of reclaim theatre in lots of different ways. And do you know what? I saw a really great example of that on Friday evening. So a couple of nights ago, 2 nights ago, my housemate, Ben Papworth, shout outs to Ben Papworth, he was musically directing the wonderful Tim MacArthur and Dolly, I can't remember her second name, I'm so sorry Dolly if you're watching this, performing an outdoor musical theatre gig at Lauderdale House in Highgate. And it was such a wonderful event. I think partly because I haven't seen theatre in so long. It was a little bit emotional. But yeah, it was so good, and basically they had marked out in a grid on the grass like where people could like be. So everybody that had purchased tickets, you had to stay in your bubble in the old in the grass and within the square with all the people that you had purchased tickets with, so families and friends could sit together as if they'd purchased together, but everybody was kind of kept socially separate from each other in order to see the show. And what was great about it was it meant that nobody was in front of you as well. Like, it meant that you could actually see, which is kind of not always like a certainty when you go and watch performances. And it was still a great atmosphere. Like, there was 100 people there. It was sold out, of course, because there's not enough theatre out there at the minute. And it was so great, and I'm really excited about that, because is there a lot of space in London or New York to do these things? No. But like, who says that we need to centralize theatre? I mean, I think that's always been such an elitist idea. Like, what I think is really fabulous is if actually we have a situation where people in the regions and like up north where you are, Aaron, and stuff, where there is more green spaces, and how great would it be if all of a sudden like the Lake District became the centre of the theatre world? Like, we'd all be able to like live in cheaper houses that would have better scenery, and like our backdrops would be like so much more gorgeous and part of nature, and we could still tell these wonderful stories. Like, isn't that just such a wonderful idea? Like, well, it is to me.
Well, it's
you
quite
know
a European thing, isn't it? Because you get
Absolutely.
theatres dotted all over the place,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is quite nice.
Yeah, so
But we've got the space, definitely.
exactly. So I think that this is, I think this is the new frontier, and I think we need to get people to embrace it. So if you're like a young performer out there and you're kind of going, oh my god, all of these people who appear on this Twitter stream that's becoming a little bit of an issue in the industry, and you're not one of these people because you're not well known and you don't have a high profile, go produce something outside in an outdoor space. Like, all of these places that have huge big outdoor spaces, they are desperate for events to come back because they need the money in order to survive, and you need money in order to survive. So go do something, go get an audience. There is so many people that is desperate to watch theatre. You do not need to be an Olivier or Tony Award winning actor right now to get an audience.
No.
So I think that's a really nice thing to think about, and a really interesting place to be with that. But yeah, so that's kind of like my points on that. Is our news section over? What do we? Yeah, it is. That was kind of like that's what's going
I
on in the
think
world of
so.
singing.
Yeah, there's nothing else really going on, is there? Apart
No,
from
well, it's yeah,
everybody getting ready to go back to work in September. All you singing teachers out there. I'd be really interested to see what other
yay,
people are doing because I've heard lots of mixed things from lots of different places. Some people are singing,
yeah,
some people are going online, some people are not ensemble singing, some people are ensemble singing in small groups,
yeah,
with the right ventilation and stuff. And yeah, it's strange for me because I work at two places where they're doing kind of different things.
yeah. So,
Um,
so can you explain that to everybody? Like, what way is your particular place going now?
So I think that, well, I don't know whether I don't want to say too much because I don't know whether I'm allowed to say what we're doing. I don't know whether that's a thing. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm not, I'll just be general about it. So there will be sort of ensemble singing in smaller groups, somewhere, um, as well as sort of blended learning, which I think is a really good idea.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to, when the conditions are being set up really safely, which they absolutely are, and with great care and risk assessment, to actually see some people in person.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. It will be different in terms of my own personal studio because I doubt I will be back to full capacity like one-to-ones in person. But I am going to tentatively go out on a limb and say that I might try something in September.
Okay.
Something sort of like at the end of September, possibly. I've just had to take loads of things into account, like the size of the room. I'm really lucky that my studio is very big. Obviously, minimizing, you won't really come into contact with anyone else. There's loads of hand washing facilities. We've got all that sort of thing. The air turnover in the room is good because I've looked into it, because it's on a ventilation system rather than like a window or anything like that, or air conditioning.
Yeah.
So the turnover is pretty quick, and to bring in the air from outside in my personal studio, which is quite good. So I'm thinking possibly, it's not set in stone, but I'm considering.
Yeah, I'm so
What
as
about
a
you?
so basically where I teach and all my places that I teach, essentially one-to-ones that are online for the foreseeable future. They've just taken the decision for that basically everywhere I teach, which is interesting. I don't mind it. I prefer to be face to face with people again because I miss
Yeah.
my students. I really miss the interaction with them. Like I think that it's really important because as singing teachers, like we are the only people that often students interact with one at a time rather than in a group. So kind of allowing students a bit of space to kind of like connect with us is really important, and that level sometimes gets taken away online. With my private lessons that I do with students that just sign up to get lessons with me via my website, which you can find down below, by the way, if you want to connect with us. If you look at both, it's that way. If you look at both me and Aaron down below the box, our boxes with our cameras, you'll see all of our details if you want to keep in touch with us. But yeah, for those students, I am kind of having a bit of a dual response as of next month. So I'm looking at going back to face for certain kinds of students. So basically for professionals, people that have graduated, people that are fully trained. I am lucky enough to hopefully, we just need to double check everything like you've been doing. But essentially, I'll be using hopefully associated studios again, where I teach when I teach face to face. And we have big wide studios, so basically the door is in the middle of the studio, and so basically when people get a lesson, they'll be told either when they come in they go to the left of the room or they go to the right, and people alternate. There's windows on both sides of the room, so we'll be able to leave the windows open and ventilate the room effectively. so that the students that come in, or the singers that come in, are, very far away from me, and they're also very far away from anybody that has been there within the hour. So each half of the room has an hour to breathe, as it were, and kind of refresh, and all the other kind of COVID safe stuff as well. But I'm just going to offer that just now to the professional students from next month, so are my professional singers, just because I think that it's a tentative step for me as well. So I need to kind of figure it out, and often I just feel like it's there's less to think about when you're working with professional students, in terms of looking after them so they can look after themselves. So that's part of the kind of the conversation I've been having in my head about it. So yeah,
I think you've got to think about another really good thing you've got to think about, I think, is, well, good thing, like necessity, is what insurance you have, and what you are covered for and are not covered for.
Absolutely.
So just to bear in mind.
Yeah.
That,
Can I slightly skew this a little bit? I don't know if we did a live since I posted this. So basically, it was towards the beginning of lockdown. There was like loads and loads of people, and I love them all dearly. Like every single person that I saw posting this, I love you all dearly, who were like performers, or, and you're trained and you're all very talented and you're all very, very skilled and all the rest of it. But, all of a sudden wanting to offer singing lessons and dance lessons and online dance classes for baby ballet and you name it. You name it, it was up there. And I put out quite a detailed post about really making sure that you take the time to really do it properly. Like, that you really need to make sure that if you're sitting there and you're going, I really could teach and I'd really love to teach, or, that I think that that's something I'm going to have to think about doing more because my performing work is going to be dried up for a while, or whatever, you need to make sure you've got the right insurance. Where's the first place you can look for that? Equity, or Musicians Union, or ISM, or one of the unions, because they all offer the kinds of insurances that you need if you're going to be a teacher. Like, get involved in your local teaching association or your national teaching association, yeah? I don't know what they are for dance, if you join the ISTD as a member or whatever, or, but I'm sure there's plenty of them out there. For singing, it's places like EOTOS, which is the Association of Teachers of Singing, or the BVA. Just make sure you get involved in the community and ask questions so that you can make sure that you're given the best experience to those singers that are coming in. If you're charging £5 or £500, it doesn't matter. The person that's in that room with you and them getting better is the most important thing in the world. And I think, if you're a singer or a dancer or an actor, and then you're going on to teach that, you certainly know somebody, if you've not been in this position yourself, where you will have experienced people saying, oh, I used to do that, but, I was told I was rubbish, or, I had a teacher that wasn't very good and it made me lose my confidence. And I think you need to remember that if you're wanting to put yourself in that position, that you're responsible for that person's confidence and their ongoing well-being. And so kind of like, you need to make sure that, as well as all the health and safety stuff, that you're looking at that stuff as well. I just thought maybe this is a good place to bring it up. I don't know, but this is my little rant I'm having anyway. I'm on my soapbox, so deal with it. But I just think that's really important, and I know that there's lots of young people out there, and I say young people like it's like a thing. Hopefully I'm still young.
Oh, please.
Aaron's face is younger than the rest of them, just so you know, but you didn't hear it from me. But
that's because it's not been in the sun, babes.
Yeah, it's been under the knife. Right. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is
not yet, anyway.
Well, one day, darling.
No,
one
but
day.
Can I just say though, it hasn't. But I was actually talking to somebody the other day about how I felt about Botox.
Uh-huh.
And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. We'll leave it there then, shall we?
Well, I don't know whether I would. Anyway, this is not what this is about, but now I'm looking at myself. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, and we're all looking at you now, and all of the viewers, even though they've not said it, they agree you should get a facelift. Right, so moving on. So the next thing we put down is why we think the best singers in the world are the best singers in the world. right? So I kind of alluded to this when I like posted up telling people that this was going to happen, that we were going to do like a little chat talking about some of the really good singers in the world. So the two that I think we should talk about, just because these were the ones I put in the post, are obviously the amazing Whitney Houston and the incredible Mariah Carey. Um, and can I just put like a big like shout out to Adrian Hansel if you're watching this, because I know you're like the biggest Mariah Carey fan in the world. Um, so just shout outs to you if you're there. Hi Tessa, it's so lovely to see you. I'm glad you're laughing because I'm totally laughing at Aaron's face as well. That's why he needs a facelift. Okay,
Yeah, but do you know the funny thing about that is that they can both clearly see you and I, Scott. So maybe
wow.
they like, you know, out of the two of us.
I'm growing old disgracefully. That's all I'm gonna say. But there's
We
a
don't
reason.
need to say it, love. We can see.
There's a reason. There's a reason why I've got the light on me like this. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm sat in the shade, babe, where I belong.
Yeah, literally. Anyway, yeah. So, Aaron, the question to you then is,
Yeah.
what do you think makes Mariah Carey Mariah Carey?
I mean, if I'm being shady about it, I don't really care because she's not my favorite singer in the world.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm joking. I do like Mariah. So whenever you're listening to a singer, I was going to say a professional singer, but it doesn't matter. It's somebody that does sort of something and has a large degree of control over the instrument. They do certain things with their voices. Certain people like it, certain people don't. I think one of the great things about Mariah Carey is the flexibility of a voice. I think it's the balancing of registers of a voice. I think it's the range. I think it's the tone. I mean, I can only remember whenever I used to listen to Mariah Carey sing live as a child, I just had a thing
It was
for
a
big
very
voices.
long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just had a thing for big voices, and I just always remember listening to her sing, thinking when she tries to belt, it's just not nice. Like
Yeah.
it's just not there. You know what I mean? And that's just a little side note.
But it's always
But
made sense to me. It's always made sense to me that she went into the more R&B side of things, because she does actually have that really gorgeous tone in the softer part of her voice. And that's the thing, like, you know, I think obviously because they did that like really like amazing duet, you know, for the Prince of Egypt film way back in the day. But they always get compared, Whitney and Mariah, and it's like yeah, but well, certainly I've
I
heard
think I think when they came out, yes, they did, because they were sort of in competition in the chart. So yeah.
Yeah. You know, but actually they have almost completely polar opposite voices, which I think is really super interesting. And I think it's very much about that whole thing with Mariah Carey, that she can make a tiny, tiny little sound that literally is the most incredible thing you've ever heard. And what she's really been able to capitalize on is her flexibility, which I think is amazing. And it's like, because that's one of the things that, you know, that both of us, you know, that we spend a lot of time working on with our students and really trying to kind of gain that sense of flexibility into the kind of sounds that they make. And she's able to make it really style specific. And I think that's the other thing. I think that's the same with every one of these singers that we would say is one of the best singers in the world, right? Is that they are incredibly style specific, and that's what they are really amazing at.
I think in terms of style specific, I think I wouldn't agree with that in terms of musical style. I think in terms of vocal characteristics, I think that's why they're the people, because they do a certain number of things. I don't like it when people say, well, she does this or she does that, because they don't just do one thing, but they do a certain amount of things very, very well. Like Celine, like all the greats.
So are we're going to maybe say then that they're maybe good at genre specific skills as opposed to
because
breaking it down to style?
No, I think style and genre, I'd take that out of the equation, because I think when you're listening to somebody's voice, yes, there are certain sounds that they make which are more at home in certain styles. Like you say, Mariah Carey's got that more sort of R&B sort of thing, and a little bit of soul, but not as soul-y as maybe like other singers. But it's more, all the songs that they've done, the back catalogue of things they've recorded, have been in all a manner of styles of music. And I think that they are able to adapt the style of the voice and use it in an interesting way. But I think the characteristics of the voice is slightly different.
See,
That's
I
just
would
what I think.
yeah, because I would say something slightly different. I actually think almost the opposite in that what they're very good at is adapting other styles into their sounds. Like, so even people like Celine, who, don't get me wrong, like, I love me some Celine, but
Yeah.
but you can always tell it's Celine Dion's version of, right? So like the good example I kind of give of this, right, is like Christina Aguilera singing "Climb Every Mountain,"
You
right?
mean Lady Gaga?
No, Christina Aguilera way back in the day, like back in
Oh,
like,
okay.
and it was like,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
I know what
and
you mean.
and
Yeah,
she,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, okay, if you were to sing that in like a truly, 1940s, 1950s, Rodgers and Hammerstein style, like, would you be able to do it? And the answer is no. Like, there's no way she'd be able to do that. So
I think she would.
no, I don't. I really don't. I don't think she'd be able
I
to
do.
sing. I don't think she can sing a note for any longer than like 2 seconds without having to kind of change it or riff over it. But
Well,
that's just my opinion, though. But yeah, so I think what makes a singer really good is that they've got a really good sense of their own identity as a singer. And so what they do is that they take whatever the song is and they're able to make it make sense within their own identity. And I think
but I think it's
that's.
easier. It's easier to do that within CCM singing
Hmm.
rather than doing something completely different like that. Let's not forget Carrie Underwood trying to be Maria von Trapp in Sound of Music Live.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
think that was her trying to make it in her own style. I just think she couldn't use a voice in any other way.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, that's a really very extreme example though of the Christina Aguilera thing, because when you listen to like any of the, I don't even need to name a singer singing something that's a different like style, whether it's like got a rock edge to it, whether it's R&B, whether it's
Hmm.
really rappy, whether it's really soulful or gospely bluesy. I think people are really, really good at, like you say, putting that in their own sort of voice and using what their voice can do. That's why I kind of still think that it's that they're able to pick and choose the colours of their voices which suit that style and genre.
Hmm.
To be able to do that. Like, for example, Celine Dion singing the tribute to Aretha Franklin and then singing something which is like a love ballad or like like a jazzier, smoother number.
Hmm.
She's able to pick out the characteristics of that music. And like you say, you absolutely know it's her singing it, but it's not inappropriate. Whereas if you listen to like Christina singing Climb Every Mountain, you listen to that and might think, well, that is really inappropriate.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just, it's easier to do when you're looking at sounds that sit in a similar place.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Um. Okay, what was the next thing we were going to talk about? I quite like that, but I want to
Yeah.
hear, like, if anybody's watching this, like, what do you guys think? Like, and also, who do you think is better, Whitney or Celine? Whitney or Mariah? We're going to leave Celine out of it because it just gets nasty. Um, so yeah.
But I mean, in terms of Whitney though, because we've not really talked about Whitney.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think what I like about Whitney Houston's voice was she had the big sound, but she would just. I remember listening to it thinking that's like a soprano belter,
Uh-huh.
like so easy, so light, so like pingy, so balanced, and it was just rock solid.
Yeah.
It wasn't heavy at all, was it? And but she still had the power behind it, which I think makes her voice different to other people's, where she could still whack out a big old gospel thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't feel like it was that much hard work. It didn't. The sound, the timbre of the voice was not really heavy and massive, like if you were listening to somebody like Yolanda Adams or like traditional like gospel singers, like Leandria Johnson or someone like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah, it's kind of interesting
Like
to listen to.
so kind of like I did a podcast. If anybody's interested, it's called Vocal Freedom. You should go and check it out. I'll put the link at the bottom of this chat after we're finished the stream when I find it. Or if like somebody there like can find the link, shove it in the chat box just now for everyone. And I was asked, kind of who's your favorite singers and why. And one of the people that I chose was David Phelps. And the reason I chose, or the reason I think that I love David Phelps' voice is, and I think that this is maybe the reason also why I love Whitney's voice, is that their singing predominantly comes from them actually telling the truth. So what do I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Their gospel background, right? Their Christian music background, that when they sing, that they are telling stories that they honestly believe completely wholeheartedly are true. They're not playing a character. They're not, doing anything for the, for the for the likes or for the record sales. Or I mean, obviously they are, but like when they started singing and how they learned to sing was in church, and that ability to kind of like always steep your singing in that sense of truth. And I know that's such a drama school wanky thing to say, isn't it? But like that sense of like, okay, like anytime I come to sing, the way that I've always done it, because that's the way I've learned, is that I need to like really feel what it is that I'm singing, and the lyrics need to be really true about what it is that's being said.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the edge that Whitney Houston has always had through that she had throughout her whole life and her whole career. And when you listen to those early videos of her as a teenager singing in church, oh my God, right? So unbelievable, because she genuinely had the faith that was required to really connect to these songs. So, who knows who she was thinking about when she sang in I Will Always Love You. And you know what? Even though I am like an atheist slash, a humanist, and I don't necessarily believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior in any way whatsoever, it doesn't matter to me. Like if that's how she connected to that song, then I believe it in that moment. Whenever I listen to her, I believe that it's true because she tells me it's true, and I really believe that what she says is true. So I really feel like that's the thing that really makes her one of the best singers in the world. And
and don't forget that it starts from that act of worship that you go through as a gospel singer is kind of opens you up to be in genuine in your use of your voice.
Yeah.
So like you said, it kind of doesn't matter what you're singing about later on, whether it's, to look at Jennifer Holliday and Dreamgirls.
Exactly.
Like, that was pure, like, made in church.
Yeah.
You just kind of feel like it is not the fact that she's singing to God, it's the fact that she's able to communicate what she feels and how she feels honestly and just tell the truth.
And you know what? See, if you're one of my students from West End MT, or indeed you're kind of a younger student who's wanting to get into drama school or wanting to get into this profession of performing arts, and you are, struggling with that thing where everybody goes, oh, you just need a bit of life experience. This is why, I think. Like, because actually, I maybe I'm just not good enough teacher, but I can't teach people how to feel that truth. I can't teach people how to really connect to that. So I think that's really something that you have to go and live, and you have to find out whatever your truth is, whether it is like a religious thing, or whether it's like a philosophy thing, or whether it's just like a life experience thing that you can go, I really genuinely know what it feels like to use my voice to kind of connect to something that's bigger than what I can understand or whatever,
Yeah.
And I feel like Whitney had that, from the very first day that she ever opened her mouth.
But do you also think that it works the other way around as well? Because one of the things that I often find an issue as a singer and as a singing teacher is that without that sort of, yes, you are communicating whatever, you've got something to focus your energy on, and you taking part in that practice, but you're allowing yourself to open up. You're allowing yourself to allow yourself to be in the moment without sort of thinking, or subconsciously being like, is this good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not whether it's good enough, it's whether you doing a job. And in gospel singing, like you say, it's my job is to praise and to
Yeah. I love
take part in that sort of ritual.
I love what David said. Church singing is about telling your
Mm.
truth and opening up your soul and heart for people to be blessed. What a wonderful
But
statement. It's true.
Is that not what acting's about, though?
Well, exactly. Like that
which
is
is great.
no, but that is the experience of like what it feels like to be in a theatre too. I think anyway, from my perspective, that's as close to a religious experience as I'll probably ever have. You know,
I like that.
And that's kind of like a lovely thing. If you want to see how the two collide, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I want to kind of like just push myself a little bit in terms of like, you know, I don't know, watching something you've never seen before, get a hold, or you can watch some of the clips on YouTube, of the performance of Gospel at Colonus. Now, Gospel at Colonus was a Broadway musical which had Morgan Freeman in it, believe it or not. And he doesn't sing in it. He's basically the narrator, and it's the story of Oedipus at Colonus, which is the second book of the Oedipus the King trilogy. You've got Oedipus the King, Oedipus at Colonus, then Antigone is the last one, I believe. I'll probably get fired of being a lecturer if I got that wrong. So I hope I got it right. But yes, so and it's the middle play, and it's basically done as a gospel sermon. And so the pastor that's giving the holy man that's giving the service is played by Morgan Freeman, and it is full of the most incredible black artists and people of color in America from that day who were music stars, particularly in the gospel scene. Stylistically, it is absolutely bang on, and it's just such a beautiful, uplifting, wonderful thing to watch, regardless of your convictions or your faith or anything like that. I mean, if something's going to make you believe, it's going to be something like Gospel at Colonus, which is super interesting to watch because actually, of course, they didn't have Christianity when they wrote Oedipus at Colonus, and so the religion they're talking about in the play is not Christianity. But what's really wonderful is you can see actually that it's just about the human spirit, and it's just about the community and that sense of singing together, which is the one thing that we were talking about before that everybody's really missing just now. So I totally want you all to go and watch Gospel at Colonus if you're sitting watching this. But yeah. Okay, so the next question, Aaron, is what are you currently listening to?
Quite a lot of different things, to be honest. In terms of theatre stuff, I'm listening to some of the older things. I'm really into William Finn at the moment. I'm listening to a lot of solo albums of musical theatre performers.
Yeah.
Like Josh Young is a wonderful, wonderful baritone, Broadway baritone. I'm listening to a lot of European people. Like I can't pronounce his name, but the German actor, I think it's Jan Amann.
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's a big German star. Listening to a lot of him.
Yeah.
In terms of pop stuff, I've been working really hard this lockdown to try and listen to lots of things that I wouldn't normally listen to, because I'm very much like, I like what I like, and I get into a habit of maybe 3 or 4 artists, and then I rotate them. So I've been trying to branch out a little, like singer-songwriters. If you like the sort of 90s influence, I'm loving Charlotte Martin, who's a little bit like Tori Amos, who everybody knows is my favourite singer. She was a big influence. Tori influenced her a lot. Alanis Morissette's new album is amazing. It's just come out, called Such Pretty Little Forks in the Road, is it? Or something like that. I'm listening. Notice they're all female, apart from Josh Young. And what else am I listening to? I'm listening to like a lot of 90s music, like Sade. I mean, I post on Instagram what I'm listening to all the time, so you probably know this if any of you see it to my post. But I'm listening to that. We didn't put your details for your Instagram.
But
you could just follow. It's my name.
Okay. Go look at them.
But
on
Yeah, but I mean,
Instagram.
Sade, beautiful. I'm just trying to think about what are the albums I used to listen to as a child around the house. Like, what did we have playing? So it was Sade, it was Mary J. Blige, it was Kate Bush.
We've
I
got
mean, I'm
Shadi
massive
fans
Kate.
watching. They're
Yeah,
watching.
but
They're there.
Sade, like, talk about a gorgeous, beautiful artist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then sort of listening to really contemporary artistic people. Like, there's a girl in a band called Bat for Lashes, and she's also like a visual artist as well. But she's an English artist, amazing, like amazing concepts, and the production is really nice. And then who else I've been listening to? Oh, my favorite at the moment, only because again it's a 90s throwback. I'm obsessed with Paula Cole.
Oh
So if
yeah.
you don't know who she is, she sang the Dawson's Creek theme. And she is still going in quarantine and posting videos on Facebook and Instagram of her just banging out her tunes. And she must be in her early 50s, and she sings everything in the same key. She's a phenomenal piano player. If you want to see somebody really connect with a piece of music and really give her heart and soul to a piece in that sort of way you were talking about, Scott, in terms of like gospel music, just a really honest performer with power and dexterity, flexibility in her voice and range. Go listen to Paula Cole, especially like her live stuff now. She's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's kind of me. What about you?
Me. Well. By the way, guys, please put who you're listening to in the chat box.
Oh yes, Josie,
Yeah.
Peebo Bryson.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. We want to hear what you guys are currently listening to as well, because we can like totally chat about it if we have been listening and we know what we're talking about. So I during my summer don't listen to any theatre stuff, right? So I get it. Everybody knows me as like the MT geek and whatever. But when it's my summertime, I literally take time off work. So I don't listen to any musicals during the summer unless I'm actually going to see a show. So I've actually not been listening to any artists recently that are currently in the theatre scene. But what I have been doing, whether you like this or not, people, I don't care, is I've been listening a lot to lots of heavy metal music. So one of the things that only my close friends, and now I consider you all close friends because I'm telling you all that they only know about me, is that I used to be into heavy metal in quite a serious way before I went into musical theatre. Which, if you've heard me sing in my big old legit voice, you would never have guessed it, right?
Well,
But it's
I
true.
would have by the conscription you've got in it, love. So
just remember,
no,
bitch, I can literally kick you off this chat. Anyway,
look.
but
But can I just say, I feel privileged to know that I actually did know that about you.
of course you knew about it. Like you have to know about it, baby. But yeah. So if you want to listen to some of the strongest voices, and I don't mean the loudest, I mean the strongest, like the most muscular, powerful, tonally wonderful, flexible voices in the world, you need to listen to heavy metal music and heavy rock. And I'm not talking about Steve Tyler and Aerosmith. He's wonderful. I love Aerosmith, don't get me wrong. Amazing. I mean,
the hard stuff.
You have to go listen to Dream Theater. Have to go and listen to Pantera. You have to go and listen to even things like, Metallica, Slipknot, Decapitated, Cryptopsy. Like, really go and listen to the heavy stuff, because lots of these guys, and I say guys because it is mostly cis males, actually. There is some fantastic females as well that are in this particular genre. So go and listen to Kitty. Brilliant band. Just wonderful. I mean, some really, really incredible vocalists. Go and listen to them. They are just they can go from growling and screaming at the top of their voices to singing something that's almost operatic in nature, to then the males, singing right up into kind of Mariah Carey whistle territory. I mean, really, really quite impressive stuff. And you know me, like I just love a bit of like I just love anybody that has really incredible skills. Like I love people that have spent time just developing something that they feel really super passionate about, whatever that is, right? And you know, like we're currently streaming on Twitch. If it's worked, I don't know. We'll find out after this, I guess. Somebody go on my Twitch and see if this is actually working and let me know on the chat. But yeah, you know, I really feel like that's one of the reasons why, like, you know, I love watching people play computer games that are like the best in the world at it. Like I love going and watching, like, when we were in Japan and watching these people and they would do all of these things with these incredible drums and stuff, but they were literally the most skilled people. Like I just love all of that. So for me, music is like it's the thing that is kind of almost like the holy grail of skills, because nobody can ever be perfect at it, right? You can never do like the perfect performance. So I think that's what attracts me so much to it. So it doesn't really, you know, I'm not very good at kind of like kind of going, oh no, I don't listen to that kind of music. You know, I'm very, very eclectic. For anybody that knows me will tell you that.
That's true. Very true.
So Josie's been listening to Rival Sons. I've actually never listened to them. I'll need to go away and listen to that, Josie. But thank you for that.
Yeah.
And Jackie's been listening to Frank Sinatra, the great Frank Sinatra, talking
Have you read
about
his book about singing?
No, I've not. What is
There's
it?
a book he wrote about like a teaching, like a pedagogy, like a book about how to sing.
Just
I'm gonna find you a copy.
Just be a gangster and just like smooth it out. I love it.
But he actually did write a book. I'm gonna find it for you.
Oh wow, I did not know that. There you go. So you learn something new every day. Janis Joplin. Oh my god. I mean, I grew up listening to Janis Joplin. What an artist, right?
Very good.
And somebody that was incredibly inspiring to me. So I don't know if she's watching, but you know, if she watches later on, Kathy Taylor-Jones will tell you how much I was obsessed with Luciano Pavarotti when I was 18 and 19 years old. And taking the big Arias tour, and she was like, maybe next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really, really good singers.
I like Pavarotti.
Yeah.
Everyone likes Pavarotti though, don't they?
Of course. How can you not like Pavarotti? I mean, I just think just amazing. I just want to take just a second just to say, you know, thank you for joining in us. We've still got lots that we want to say. There you go. Tips on popular singing by Frank Sinatra. There we are. Thank you for that. There you go. There you go. Jackie, I knew that was the school of thought you came from. I knew that before you came for your lesson, because you were just as good as Frank Sinatra. I just want to take this time to say, if you're currently on my profile and you're watching this and you're like, oh, I'm saying stuff and they're not speaking back to me, and I've said hello and they can't see it and they haven't said hello to me, you need to come onto the Scott Harrison voice page and then chat to us there.
I'm keeping an eye on yours. So basically, like, Leo said hello.
Oh, hi, Leo. It was Leo. Can we just a big shout out to the incredible Leontine Haas, who was 27 again yesterday, and had a wonderful birthday party, and we did a socially distanced picnic, and it was just the most wonderful event. I had such good fun, and Leo is an incredible singing teacher. We need to get her on one of these streams one day.
Absolutely.
And have a chat with her, because she's just so wonderful. Great.
And then Mark Beer.
Okay.
Yeah, he posted a message on Astrid, our favourite.
Oh, Astrid. We love you, Astrid. So Astrid is somebody we work with in Holland, and we run a course out there with Astrid, and she's really wonderful. Which is really great.
And
but yeah, if you
friend from Spain, Jota Barrel.
So he'll remember this shirt well then, because this is why I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it for you, just for you and the Barcelona crew.
So that's just keeping up with those people.
Great. But yeah, so please keep in touch with us. Like, Aaron's Twitter is there. He apparently doesn't have Facebook, according to that thing that's scrolling. That's probably my fault. But you can get in touch with him on Twitter.
No, I do have Facebook, but I mean, I have a Facebook page, but I don't like.
Okay, get in touch with him on Twitter.
I'm not a Facebook. Yeah, I'm not a Facebook person. Come chat on Instagram or Twitter.
He's not old enough for Facebook. That's what it is. It's not cool enough for Aaron. But you can get in touch with me through all the different ways that you can see at the bottom as well. Please join the chat. If you've got like a question for us about anything to do with singing, or what do you think about something, or you want a topic that you think we should discuss, just come on and just like say it in the chat. We're going to be going till
even like I think this. What can we discuss it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like put your controversial opinions in the chat box, because we totally want to kind of like be controversial with you. I'm totally for that.
Absolutely.
As most of you know. And we'll be going to just about 8 o'clock, so there's plenty of time for that. So because I've got to go for a meeting at 8 o'clock, so we've got to finish then.
And I need to eat my one meal a day.
As you can tell, I've been not eating one meal a day.
No, I haven't either. But this is like my actual full meal that I have.
But the thing is,
like rice cakes.
But the thing is, Aaron, because I've had to squeeze your face into the cam, you look really skinny on camera, so it's worked out. Just don't tilt your head to the side, because it'll stretch you out a bit.
That's because I've lost weight and been healthy.
Yeah, sure, whatever you say. Right, so moving on. This is basically, we're going to kind of like just do like a little kind of like informal review on something, because we think that's kind of useful to people. So we're going to be reviewing something that Aaron and I both experienced a couple of weeks ago. When was it?
It was the
4 weeks
18th
ago?
to the 20. It was like end of August.
Yeah. Anyway,
no, end of July.
End of July. Yeah.
Mid to end of July.
Yeah. So the review that we're going to be doing today is going to be on the somatic voice work course. Am I saying it right?
So the somatic voice work, the Livestream method.
Yes. Sorry. Say that one more time.
So the somatic voice work, the Livestream method.
So
by Jeannie Livestream.
By Jeannie Livestream, yeah. And we had this wonderful, wonderful time. Well, I did anyway. I'm sure Aaron will tell you about his time as well. Working online, unfortunately, because we couldn't go there because of the situation. But it meant that she was able to open the course up to a lot more people, because they were doing it online, and I think there was over 200 people taking part from all over the world, from Israel, from Australia, from Korea, you name it, they were all there, mostly Americans. Now, Jeannie Livestream and her somatic voice work is not necessarily as well known in the United Kingdom as it is in America. She's very, very well known in America. So that's why we thought it'd be a really good idea just to tell you a little bit about what we got up to. So what she offers during her institute is 3 different levels. Levels 1, 2, and 3.
Can we just preface it by saying, just because we have to be super careful here. Everything that we're going to say about it is as we have understood it.
Yes, of course.
From taking part in it, so it's not like we're saying this is, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to go into that bit anyway, so don't worry.
No, I know, but just in case, it's just this is our experience.
Absolutely, yeah. So anyway, so she runs 3 different levels. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron. Level 1 is basic application. Level 2 is what's level 2?
I will tell you what it is. So
they've got 3 different names.
Yeah, so basically the names are: level 1 is basic application, level 2 is advanced application, and level 3 is repertoire, problem solving, and voice medicine.
Yeah. And right off the bat, one of the things I really loved about it, that I'm just going to say right now, is I've gone to lots of pedagogy courses in my life. From lots of different methodologies and lots of different backgrounds. And quite often, they're what I would say would be probably called guru-led. So what you tend to have is you tend to have a kind of some kind of teacher who is kind of an authority on that particular thing, and they teach the entire course.
Yeah.
There's no if, buts, or maybes about the material. It's just straightforward. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. Which is great. And I think that we need those kind of things in the world. But one of the things that I loved about Gina Levettri's course is the fact that Gina Levettri said again and again and again and again, listen to all of these other people that I'm bringing in, because not everybody has the whole picture. We as singing teachers need to learn from the full community of people that are on our team, as it were. So what I really loved about it, we had some fabulous conversations with a bodyworks expert, with an incredible two incredible voice doctors, you know.
Who do we have? We had Jan Prokop came and did body mapping with us. We had
wonderful
Dr. Claudio Milstein from the Cleveland Clinic. We had Dr. Trinice Robinson, who has been doing a lot of stuff herself online over summer.
Yeah, and some of you in the UK will probably know Dr. Trinice Robinson, Martin, because she has just done a course with the Voice Workshop, I believe.
Voice Workshop, I think. Yeah.
So yeah. And there was somebody else as well, wasn't there?
Well, we had another speech. We had another speech pathologist. We had Carmel Dean, Broadway musical director.
Yeah, wonderful. I was really lucky to get to work with Carmel, which was just such a joy. Because I don't perform as much as I used to now, so it was really lovely to get the opportunity to do that, even though it was online. And what I loved about it was just the accessibility of it. What I really felt in kind of like there was loads of breakout rooms and kind of lots of conversation going on, and what I really enjoyed about the process of it all, to be honest, was the fact that there was lots of people that were taking part who were needing something from it, whether that was they felt like they were lost in kind of like the sea of information that they don't know what they need to give their students and what they don't. And that what I felt was really super wonderful was that by the end of it, everybody that took part seemed to really kind of have something tangible that wasn't jargonistic, that wasn't the be all and end all either, you know, that was kind of like something that still respected the work that they do as individuals, as singers and artists and teachers, that still allowed them to really kind of connect to a system whereby they could improve their teaching and their observation and their diagnostic work. You know, and the other thing that you know is one of the big selling points that that I'm sure Jeannie won't mind me calling it that, is the fact that Jeannie really markets it to people from all different walks of life, that it is specifically for people who are interested in what she calls CCM, which is basically everything that's not classical. Where
but she doesn't like the phrase "not classical." That's
exactly,
she sort of coined it.
So having this idea of it being for particularly people that are into pop, rock, musical theatre, folk, jazz, gospel, whatever, as opposed to country and western, and kind of like speaking the truths about all of that kind of stuff, and doing lots of work in style. Oh my God, that was the other thing I really loved about it, was the fact that there was so much conversation about style. When I've gone on these pedagogy courses and these methodology courses, nobody ever talks about style. They talk about form in terms of like, this is what you have to do. This is input, output of sounds. But and they go, it's like, yeah, you can do it with and add style onto it. But there's very, very rarely components where people actually talk about what style is and kind of like why it's important and how the ideas of style and culture are intrinsically linked if they're not the same thing. And I love that. And I love the respect for music and for artistry that was really shared by all of the faculty. There, it was really, really wonderful from that perspective. So I personally just want to, before Aaron gives you his little lowdown on it, I just personally want to just say thank you to Jeannie, and to her staff and everybody that helped organise it, because I really had such a great time, and it was exactly what I needed after being stuck indoors for several months. So yeah. Even if it meant I was having to sing at 11 p.m. at night, but Aaron knows more about that than I do. So go on, Aaron.
Well, we won't go there.
I'll go there if you don't. But you can. I want you to. On you go. What did you think, Aaron? Because I've just been talking a lot there.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I have been kind of following Jeannie for a long time. I've been very interested in the whole somatic voice work and her sort of work that she's done. And, you know, you pick up little bits here and there. And then when we went to work with her in Barcelona last year, I was kind of like, yeah, I think I'll take the course next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I signed up super early, hoping to go to Ohio. We didn't get to go, obviously, because of the situation. But what I thought, the biggest takeaway for me, I mean, everything that you've said, Scott, obviously, but the organisation of it and the clarity of being able to have all the materials laid down, and for you to be able to reflect on how you diagnose, what you're actually hearing, and then without somebody saying, and this is how to fix it, it's more of a, these are the steps that you would take, but there's no exercises, like she says quite a lot. I'm not going to give you a sheet of exercises. There's nothing published, there's nothing written down like that, because it's for you as a teacher to go and listen to that individual singer. These are the sorts of things you might want to look at. These are the things that will help you. Little clues along the way to sort of be like, these sorts of things work best in this sort of issue and whatever. But you really do get a whole sort of sense and think, actually, as a singing teacher, this course is really for me. And it's probably one of those courses where it really is for singing teachers, for singers as well, but it really is for singing teachers, rather than I'm going to go on a course which doesn't look at how you deliver the material. She talks a lot about psychology of singing in it as well. She talks a lot about how to have language with students, how to deliver things to students, thinking about it from their perspective, thinking about it from lots of different angles, whether it's a body thing, whether it's a really specific pedagogical thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like how she keeps it super simple and sort of says there is only maybe 3 things that you can control as a singer, or should be consciously controlling as a singer, and the rest sort of happens. And these are skills that you build a voice up over time, and it takes time. And I really respect her for being one of the only people to stand there and be like, this will take a certain amount of months to do with these exercises for the muscles to condition themselves in this way, rather than tilt this, pull this, drop this, and that's your sound.
Mm-hmm.
And what she does really well is she has a conversation. She's open. She'll have a conversation with you about why she's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
She'll work with students and explain exactly why she's doing it. And it's never about her trying to show off. It's never about her trying to be like, this is my thing, and it's like, I'm amazing. I'm the be all and end all. I'm, you know, the whatever, the guru person there.
Yeah.
It's about functional training, and it's a rigorous course in the fundamentals of functional training for voice, and how as teachers we use these ideas and lots of different things that she talks about. But the second thing that I'd say was really impressive about it was that it's not like some of these courses where they just talk about one thing and they sort of, this is this. She brings in people, like we've said, from all different places in the industry, whether they're doctors or actors, musical directors and singers, to be like, anybody can do this with their own knowledge and their own background from their own walk of life in their own studio. You don't have to subscribe to this and only do this. And it's like, that's why it's sort of like her work just paves a pathway through the industry and voice training, and I really respected that about her.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was great.
Absolutely. If you're from the UK and you're watching this and you're like, oh, that sounds like something I would love to do, then let us know, because like, let's get it over. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's organise it. You know, and I know she'd be game. Yeah. And so, you know, if you think that that's something we should be bringing over to the UK, then let's do it. Like, can I say something controversial? Let's break the cycle of Estelle, please. Right? Not because I don't respect the work that's done, but just because, like, we need more than one tool, right? Come on. Are we not all bored about saying the words tilt and hoping for the best, right? So, you know, like, let's break the cycle of Estelle and get more ideas over here so that we can have more free-flowing thoughts and more tools in our bag. Yeah? To really...
But just to say it as well, that's a really, really good point. Even if you are a hardcore Estelle person, God bless you. Like, I'm just saying, like...
You're not in the shade anymore, babes, but oh wait, yes you are.
But that's no, but I'm just saying, but that's an even bigger reason to do this, because what you will have is a lot of the language.
Yeah.
And you will, and
absolutely.
if you have a highly trained sense of function, vocal mechanics and function, you'll like this. You'll get a lot out of this, and it will enhance what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm so thankful for the Estelle training and the time that I had doing all of that work, especially before approaching this kind of stuff, because I really felt on top of it because of that. You know, that's what I'm saying. I really respect the work. But I think as teachers, we're desperate for more tools, right? We're desperate for clarity and more knowledge. So, you know, like, let's break the cycle of just getting the knowledge from one place and actually see how much we can diversify and still keep it appropriate for our students.
And discuss, though, because do you not think you get so much more? Well, I hate going on vocal courses most of the time, because all you get is, it's not that, it's this. And it's like, then you in your own mind, you can't see how everything fits together because it's so closed off from what's going on. Yeah. And it's when people try to put, I mean, it's quite funny that she calls it a method. Because you would think you'd be quite put off by that, but it's not a method in that sort of prescriptive sense.
Yeah.
But you kind of feel a bit like, if I'm just going on all these courses where somebody's come up with a method because they're trying to fill a gap, but then everyone goes around in circles and always ends up saying the same thing and making a different version of the same thing, whereas what she's done really successfully, and this is a life's work in this course, from many, many years of doing lots of interdisciplinary courses and work with professionals and whatever. It's so open that it's not it's more of a way of thinking, isn't it, Scott? Would you agree? It's a functional thing, and there is all the knowledge and the tools that she gives you, but it's about the how, and the how can I do this, how can I do that, how can I do this in my own way, which is what was really nice about it, to be honest.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to move on just time wise. So one of the things that we thought it'd be quite interesting to talk about is that
we are going to come back to David's comment.
Well, actually, the reason why I've not mentioned David's comment yet is because actually it will play really nicely into what I'm going to talk about. Cool. Is you often get singing teachers almost claiming the high mightiness of their own skill set and then never really doing anything to demonstrate actually their own fallibility. So what I mean by that is that we often look up to our singing teachers as being the people that have perfect voices. And I think it's really, really important, if not essential, for us as singing teachers to be really honest about our journeys as singers and our journeys as performers. Because unfortunately in the world right now, we see everything through an Instagram filter, right? The whole world is seen through an Instagram filter. Everybody has a perfect life apart from you. That's how you feel. And it's really important for singers to realize that actually that everybody has flaws, including us, right? So, you know, I some people will like my voice, some people won't, but those people that really like my voice and go, oh my God, you're such a good singer. Yeah, but like I still have struggles. I still have things that I work on too. And so we want to kind of just do a little section where we're just talking about what our voices have been up to recently and maybe not so recently, and just kind of like tell you about some of our flaws and like just kind of like share those problems that we are currently having and how we are working through them. Because if we can tell you how we're working through what it is that we do, then that might be interesting to you to kind of like find out and see if you can also get something from that. Maybe, I don't know, but let's try it.
Yeah.
So, Aaron. He won't mind me saying this because I think we said it. I don't know if I think we said it on the last one. I can't remember because it was so long ago. Aaron actually came to me and was like, "Scott, can you give me a session? I'll book a session and pay for it." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." But it's a bit weird teaching your friends. But I was like, "Sure, if you want to." But it ended up being really productive. And what was really great, and this is one of the reasons why I think Aaron and I are good friends. We can be really honest about like where we're at with like our own skill set and like where our flaws are as teachers, as singers, whatever. And that's kind of like, maybe it's rude to say it's rare because that's maybe kind of like shortchanging lots of other people in the industry, but it's certainly not the norm. So
No.
I think that so that's why I think that this kind of conversation is quite useful. So I know that Aaron actually has been working a lot on his voice as a singer. So those of you that know Aaron will know that he's not actually a performer, that he is a teacher through and through.
Which is also controversial as well.
Which is absolutely. But actually, we are going to ask Aaron now, what have you been up to with your voice? What have you found difficult recently?
So, he says with like the really croaky voice, so many things. So I think you've got two things to think about. I said that a lot. You've got the main sort of major issue that we're all going through, all working on all the time. So obviously trying to extend range, trying to have, as you know, like a better action, a better blend of registers, I've been working on. But I did find over lockdown, when I sat down sort of around the beginning of lockdown, that I'd kind of lost a lot of my range. And it sort of presented itself in various tensions, and I lost my signature falsetto.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that don't know me, like falsetto and its variations is kind of my thing.
Just because it's false advertising if we don't, but Aaron's party piece is doing an impression of the great Linda Hurst singing Scalzi, which we will link you to in the chat after.
And the Chinese opera. Don't forget the Chinese opera.
So what we're going to do is, because it would be false advertising if we didn't do this, is we're going to actually get Aaron to demonstrate his Linda Hurst on stream right now. Go on, Aaron. No. You have to. I put it in the thing. That's what the public want, right? No. That's what the public want. They want to hear you do Linda Hurst.
They don't. It's fine. I don't think
I'm very upset by it. I'm very upset by that.
I don't even think I could actually do it right now. Yeah, but it's really weird. So I've kind of like I can scream and I can sing like Christine in Phantom, all that sort of stuff, and I've always been able to do that.
The public has spoken. They're telling us they want to hear the Scalzi.
Ryan McKenzie's not the public, right? Love you, Ryan. But no, I'm not doing it. I'd say like she hasn't even got a voice. So, but anyway, back to what we're here to do. Yeah, so I kind of lost it, and I developed this habit of going for these notes and really feeling like my whole weight of myself pushing down like this and be physically moving my head. Yeah, but just to try and get, and there's so much tension in the base of my tongue to get those sounds there. Mm-hmm. And so I've been working really hard. I've been having regular lessons with Mary Saunders Barton over Zoom, which has been wonderful. Which has been nice to look at my own sort of delivery as well. So I'm working on that, and it's improved a lot. I'm getting back to what I was, which is great because, guys, like I'd say an F, an F. I'm not an F above middle C, an F5. Is it F5? Scott? Is that F4?
That's F5. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, like that. That would be quite easy for me to sing.
Mm-hmm.
like I could just sing Fs and Gs, and then when it got to an A flat, I'd be like, this is a bit hard, but I'll just like whack it out and it's fine. But I like even a C, like below that F was a struggle. So I've been trying to work on that. I've been trying to work on my own awareness of my body when I sing. I'm not a particularly comfortable person performing. As Scott will know, I move around a lot. So I've been trying to work on strategies to sort of deliver like that and just really be present in a song, which has been really good. So all that's how it's really boring for you all, but that's kind of what I've been working on at the moment.
Yeah. For me, I am at a weird place, and this is where I would come back to David's question. So I've been noticing my voice changing again at my age. Now, David is about nearly the same age as me, I think. David, I think, is correct. One of the things that you need to know is that kind of guys' voices don't really fully finish forming until you're around about 30 years old, because it's all got to do with basically the hyoid bone finishes growing when we're around about 30 years old as males. So the voice does continually change all the way through our 20s and sometimes into our early 30s as well. And in my late 20s, I was going through, and early 30s, I was going through kind of like just lots of stresses in life. Like, we don't need to get into any more than that. But but lots of just generally lots of stresses in life. And I was working far too much. And what ended up happening was that I ended up giving myself what we call MTD, which is muscle tension dysphonia. And it's basically when you kind of essentially overwork a lot of the muscles, or lots of the muscles, especially around the kind of throat area, just hold and they just don't want to kind of let go. Yeah. And I was still having to teach full time at the time, and my range went down to less than an octave, which obviously is not useful. And as you all know, if you're watching this, if you're a singer, if you're a performer, that is incredibly, like your voice is an incredibly emotional thing, and you feel like there's such an incredible sense of loss if you're not able to use it. Like, you really kind of have to kind of grieve for it a little bit, because you worry that it's never going to come back, and like, what would I do if I just all of a sudden wasn't able to use my voice? And every day I was having to go into kind of classes with these really up and coming, some of the best singers that I've ever worked with in my life, and, you know, professional performers that are playing on the West End, and be an authority on how to use their voice healthily when I didn't feel like my voice was very healthy. And it was an incredibly difficult time. And I feel like there's lots of psychology that comes with that. That's probably the main thing I'm working on with my voice right now, in that I stopped performing in 2014 to kind of, originally because I was like, I'm totally going to do a PhD, and then obviously I'm still getting around to just applying for one now, 6 years later. But at the time, I was like, you know, I was at the top of my game when I was a performer. You know, I genuinely was. I worked a fair bit, and, you know, my voice was in a really good place. And when I was at drama school, my voice was indestructible. And one of the things that you've got to really kind of know as a human being is that your voice and your kind of personality and your attitude towards life and all of that stuff, it's all very intrinsically linked. And there's all of the psychosomatic symptoms that happen in your body that depending on where you're at in your life, where you're at in terms of how you feel about things that are going on, etc., etc., etc. And so, David, my advice to you is the advice that I have to give myself all the time. Don't just think about it as your voice changing again. Think about what other changes are going on in your body, in your life, you know, with regards to your social life, your love life, your financial life, your family life. And think about, if that's in flux, then your voice is just going to follow. And so I think it's really important to really take that stuff on board, because it's maybe not a technical thing. And one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you in your question, you say how to master all the new changes. Become a master at self-reflection. Now, I was talking with this earlier on with a singer today. And you've got to, when you reflect, you've got to ask yourself the question, what is it I'm actually supposed to be hearing when I listen back to my singing lesson? Or, you've recorded yourself singing. The first question you've got to ask yourself is, what is it I'm actually supposed to be hearing, right? Mm-hmm. And the problem is most people just kind of go, oh, well, it doesn't sound beautiful yet. It doesn't sound like, it's ready for the West End stage. But quite often it's not meant to. And instead, what you've got to do is think about what instructions you've been given by your singing teacher, by your vocal coach, by your musical director, right? Is that kind of like moment of kind of going, okay, so I'm going to get you to do this exercise, and what I want you to really think about is ABC. So when you listen back to it, the only things you should be wanting to kind of reflect upon are those ABC and however many moments that particular instructor or kind of facilitator gave you in the moment to think about. And you should value your success based on that, right? So, I did what was asked of me, but I don't sound like Ramen Karamlu yet. Who cares, right? You're humming, or like you're doing like an or whatever. Like, of course you don't sound like bloomin' Ramen Karamlu, So instead, when you reflect and you listen back on your lessons and you're in your practice, always think about the question. Get a notepad and pen out and write down, like, what is it I'm actually listening out for? What is my actual focus when I'm doing these exercises, when I'm singing this song? Yeah. The other thing
should be obvious, really.
Exactly, yeah.
Singing teacher, because they will have said.
Exactly.
This is what we're doing.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that cut it up into small chunks, right? Incremental training, incremental practice. I'm going to be doing like a whole YouTube video on this at one point when I can actually get round to like losing a bit of weight so I look good on camera. Is really thinking about breaking it down into small chunks, right? I'm a procrastinator. So I know if I have like a million things that I need to do on that day, I'll just stay in bed and not do any of it. Right? Whereas if I go, okay, I know I've got a million things to do, but let's just do one at a time. Let's just do one, and if I do one, then I can go to bed for a bit more, and then I'll get up and then I'll do another one, then I'll go back to bed again. I have to kind of persuade myself to do it that way sometimes because that's part of my personality. But I think as singers, we sometimes focus too much on the big picture. Again, because we look at life through that Instagram filter and we go, well, this is just such a, like everybody's so good. And I listen to all these people like putting up their recordings of their songs and whatever. What you don't see is the 40, 50 takes they did before that to make it that good. Yeah. In fact, and I was using this example because I'm such a geek and I love games, right? If you watch professional streamers on Twitch, which, like I said, hopefully this is being shown on right now, who knows? Yeah. Those professional streamers are on there for 8-9 hours a day, right? And you get to see all the failures with all of the successes. So yes, of course, they only put up like their world records or whatever, or their perfect runs of a game on YouTube, right? But when you're actually watching them, they have an audience, sometimes of thousands of people, watching them fail again and again and again and again, sometimes for the whole day, just getting it wrong. So you think about that as a performer, right? Imagine an audience of sometimes thousands of people watching your singing lesson, listening to you doing sirens or doing kind of like belting exercises or whatever it is you do in your singing lessons, right? And watching you fail again and again and again and again. And actually, I think we need to get to a point where it's part of our personality and our culture and our community, where actually we'd be cool with that, because our perception of that failure is actually it's just on the path to growth rather than it's something to focus on because I'm not Ramen Karamlu yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question, David, but that's the way that I would say that you need to master all the changes that are going on, one at a time, and don't be afraid of getting it wrong. That's beautiful. Keep getting it wrong. Get it wrong more. I dare you to get it wrong, right? But yeah, that's what I want to say about that. I think we spoke enough about our own voices. What's next on our list, Aaron? Because it's we need to do a bit of a wrap up soon, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll just do like a wrap up, because we can do some and talk about some of the other stuff and some of the other ones.
Yeah.
We've got 5 minutes left, so if anybody does have any questions, any other questions that you want, or things that you kind of just comments you want to make or things you want to say, remember, if you're watching this on Aaron's Facebook or on my personal Facebook profile, you need to go onto the Scott Harrison Voice one to put in a comment. Otherwise we won't see it. But I think Aaron's on it. I think he's checking. But yeah, if you've got any questions, please let us know. But I just want to say thank you for this. I hope this was fun. I hope this was a little bit more polished than the last time when I had to try and invite Aaron into the chat, and there's just 12 minutes on the video of me going, oh my god, I can't do it. We're going to be doing more of these. Basically, the reason why we're going to be doing more of these is because it's taken me ages to get this whole setup working. So I'm not going to use it just once and then forget about it. So we're going to make this slicker and slicker. By slicker, I mean that we're going to be doing it on YouTube next time. I'm going to figure that out, so it's going to be on there as well. This video is going to be saved, so you can come back and watch it again if you're interested in listening to it again. If you've got friends that you think would like to get in touch with me or Aaron, again, send their details below. Send them to the video. Get them to watch this, because you can watch it afterwards. And just genuinely, I just want to say thank you very much, Aaron, for having a little chat with me tonight.
No, thank you.
And thank you all for joining in. And for some of you that have literally stayed for 2 hours, I think that's really awesome. That you've kind of, well, an hour and 3/4. But thank you so much. Yeah, that's all I've got to say. Have you got anything to add, Aaron, before we end?
No, just I hope that everybody going back into work, whether you're teaching or a student or anything like that in September, don't panic.
Yeah.
Go with caution and be sensible, but just make informed decisions and don't be swayed by everything somebody posts on Facebook. Do your own research. Really do what's best for you and your business.
Absolutely.
And your students.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Great. And as much as you can, everyone, please support British theatre as it's coming back. Yeah.
Go on to people you can watch. Certain people are doing concerts that you can pay a fee to stream, or later after the thing. And please support people. And
if you can, even if you can't make it to the performance, just buy a ticket. If whatever. Try and make it worth their while, because at the moment we're in a situation where all the money that possibly can go to performers is going to performers. So we want to support our own. We want to support each other. And also, if any of you have any projects or anything that you want me to share, at the moment I'm doing it for free. So if you want to kind of send your projects to me, just send me a little direct message or something, either on my personal Facebook or on Twitch or on YouTube even, or on this page on Facebook as well if you're on that. And just send me the details, and I'm more than happy to advertise it out to the people that follow that and follow me at the moment. It won't always be free because I'm in the middle of moving all the stuff over. So get in there, you know. But like I always try and make an exception for my friends and for the people I know in my life. So if you do have something you want to share with us, then please feel free to do so, and I'm more than happy to send that on. And we need to hold each other up, right? But thank you so much, and yeah, I guess we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.